seeing here is Americanism. You're supposed to respect that. In fact, if you were actually forward-thinking, you'd probably want to get into a modality where you're starting to consider ways of operating an economic system without creating all this needless garbage that creates the environmental abomination that is now Mount Trashmore. When I first came into Marshall area back in 1990, you had to drive down into a bowl to dump your trash. Now you can see the mountain from Turkeyville. We can't do this. We're going to give this to our grandchildren and great-grandchildren. You people need to start thinking differently. Start being not in the mode of encroachment and usurpation. Start being Americans. Understand your oath of office and those principles that underlie the decision-making that you have to undertake in order to do that. These people are mad, but I'll do something about it. We'll go to court. Have a good day.
All right, any other comments on the south side of the room? Having covered all areas, are there any additional comments?
There's one lady coming.
I'm halfway here. I'm Margaret Winchell. I live at 911 Jones Street, and I also want to thank all of you for listening to all of our comments. I'm a heavy user of the compost center. I would hate to see you close the compost center. I do buy an annual pass. In fact, I have two for both vehicles. So I'm hoping that you will continue that. We have a lot of trees here in Marshall, especially in town, and we have a lot of branches, and we've had a big oak tree that came down this year, and it took us 4 weeks to clear it out, and we probably spent about 30 trips to the brush dump. So without having a compost center available to us, what do we do with the brush? It wasn't necessarily because of the storm, a lot of water in the ground, so the tree just fell over. So luckily, no one got hurt. The city cleared their piece out of the road and left everything at the curb. We took everything out the curb to the compost center. So I'm just expressing my gratitude for having the compost center, and I hope we continue to have one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim Ruddock, 560 North Madison Street here in Marshall. I have a problem. We're taxed on the compost. We pay taxes on that. I have two places here in town, and I'm not allowed to use it. Can't take the stuff from my personal properties over there, and I'm still paying tax on this. That's one thing that I just think is just idiotic. So if anything else goes on like that, then, you know, it's the freedom of, we pick and choose who we want for like the garbage service or whatever. I won't use the county recycle because they pick and choose. I go out to the landfill and recycle things because they take it all. So, yeah, you have to get a pass from downstairs, but they don't charge for that. So you know, like I say, I've been upset. Tom knows it. And most of you probably do too. But it just irks me that I'm paying taxes on two places here in town that I can't use, like I said, I can't take the leaves or brush from my place on Madison or the one on Montgomery. I can't go over there with them. So what do I do? I just don't think it's fair. There's a lot more than just me in this town that have got that situation. So that's all.
Thank you, Tim. Tom?
Seeing how I went first, I can remember everything.
Sorry to call you out like that.
Dealing with the other companies, for example, Republic, they're out of Arizona. If you have a problem where they don't pick up for 2 weeks, you got to deal with someone out in Arizona instead of maybe someone here locally. Think about this, if you choose someone in waste management, excuse me, waste management, when I talked with them, they're out west somewhere too. That, you know, is nice when you can go to a person here in town that you know or, you know, you can contact with. And the other thing, who decides where they start when they pick up leaves? It seems like every year you start in the southwest side of town and go up to the busiest place up there up on like Hill Road and Forest and all them. They got the most leaves up there. Couldn't we alternate the 4 places when they start the leaves? To make it fair for all the people? That's it.
Thank you, Tom.
Am I going to close it for you?
Well, you opened it.
You opened it.
Any other comments before we close the public hearing this evening? All right, final offer. All right, we will go ahead and close the public hearing. I appreciate everyone coming out and speaking tonight. It's good to hear from everyone, and that is definitely the intention on why we had this. Any other comments from council members?
Just that I appreciate everybody coming out tonight as well and hearing your comments. It's been helpful to hear how you feel about all these things, and we'll take them into consideration. I'm sorry, I just wanted to say thank you for everybody coming out tonight, and I appreciate hearing your comments, and we'll take everything into consideration.
Yeah, I guess I would just say also, I could tell feelings were certainly running strong. I just want to reassure everybody out there that knowing everyone up here, nobody's trying to ram something down your throat. The whole reason why we have hearings like this is to have a dialogue, and I promise you, knowing everybody up here, we are interested in hearing your perspective, and as we continue to consider the issue, I'm sure that each one of us is going to take your comments into consideration.
With that said,
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to postpone any action on the ordinance at issue.
Support.
So we have a motion and support. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you again for coming. We will move on to the zoning ordinance for the new principal uses in I-1 and I-2 zoning districts. If anyone would like to speak on that?
Yeah. Give them a minute to,
What's that?
give them a minute to.
Yeah.
They're- Yes. That's what we had.
You are hysterical. You were so funny. Oh, I was, but I didn't know, I don't know anybody who watches that. I just feel like if you're going to get up there and speak, damn it, I'm going to sit here and listen to you.
Take action in the
Hi, Bill.
future.
Yeah.
Was it the hospital?
Oh, it has to be a public meeting, it does not have to be a public hearing.
Yeah.
If the ordinance did not
I know you
change
understand that.
or have substantial change, they could just vote on that in the future. But if they were to change what was.
Check your garbage too, man.
Advertised for today, then
Yay.
they're going to have to,
Thanks.
they would have to hold another public hearing. So if there was major changes, so now I'm not sure exactly how they're going to move forward.
Thank you.
I guess that's something.
Bill.
Yes, it was a public hearing, because they had an ordinance in front of them, and so it was a public hearing.
Oh, that was fun.
But they decided not to take any action.
Do that
Okay,
again.
let's go back at it.
Got questions, Carolyn, just give me a call.
Hey, Ed.
I know it's been a while.
Ed?
I haven't seen you. I know.
Want the door shut?
Okay, I think it's time to keep moving, so Tricia, could you introduce this for us, please?
So the ordinance amendment that, can you hear me?
Ed,
No.
could you get those people to quiet down?
See, she's doing that because of 12B.
That's exactly why I'm doing it.
You didn't send Scott back there, I noticed. You sent Ed.
To the door.
True.
Okay.
Okay, let's proceed.
So what you have in front of you is a change to the zoning ordinance. In September, you approved the ordinance for commercial marijuana. Back when we approved medical marijuana, we added it to the zoning ordinance as a permitted use in the I-1 and I-2 districts. So what we want to do is the same with commercial, make it permitted in I-1 and I-2, and it's just for the growing and processing. It's not for retail sales or anything.
Right, so this will mirror what we previously have done for medical.
It's just to make the ordinances in line with each other.
Thank you. Any questions on this for Tricia before we open the public hearing?
This did go to the planning commission, and they held a public hearing as well, and there was no comment.
No comment at the planning commission. All right, we will go ahead and open the public hearing for zoning ordinance amendment for principal uses in I-1 and I-2 zoning districts. Anyone wishing to speak may do so. State your name and address for the record. Hearing no takers, I will, all right. Jack is going to speak with us.
Oh, now you talk.
Jack Reed, 116 South Sycamore. I'd like Trish to repeat what she said because we don't have any idea
Okay.
what the public hearing is that you've just proposed because we couldn't hear. I'm sorry.
The zoning ordinance change is to add commercial marijuana as a permitted use in the I-1 and I-2 districts.
To the commercial use.
Commercial, medical is permitted in those districts now, and it would be the same for commercial.
Thank you.
Any further comments? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Any questions from council regarding the ordinance?
Does this impact any of our existing manufacturers?
I don't think the people could hear your question.
I said, does this impact any of our existing manufacturers that are coming in our grow houses? Are they?
Well, they'll be able to grow for commercial as well,
So it does
recreational as well as
cross the board.
medical.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? So the recommendation is to approve the proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance to allow commercial marijuana in the I-1 and I-2 zoning districts. I'd seek a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Have a motion and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That moves us to item 12A, bids for the Brooks Field Terminal Construction Project. Tom?
Yes, you've dealt with this a couple times over the year. This is, we rebid the project because originally we thought the bids were too high and the funding sources weren't there. This time, instead of 2 bids, we received 6 bids. Calaward, who is the contractor who's now working in Ketchum Park, was low bid on this. They were, it was still about the same price as was in spring. The airport board was given 4 options by the architect engineer of doing what's called value engineering to reduce some things. They looked at 4 of those items. They were accepted 3, which reduced the price by, and they felt the other item was really needed for the architectural look of the building. So We then went, and we discussed with council a couple meetings ago of possible funding. And there is on page 44 of your agenda, there is the option 3 that we talked about a couple meetings ago. What we would use is the 4 years that is given to the airport. We would borrow from another airport who doesn't have the need to use their funding right now, and then we would repay that in 2020. And then also for the remainder, we would request a loan from MDOT. One thing we did find out is that today the max loan is $100,000. In January, the board at Aeronautics is looking at increasing that. So we would like to leave our options open of exactly what would be the better, is taking the loan or borrowing away from another airport. We have a meeting with Aeronautics next week to look at it. So what we're asking tonight is to approve the bid of CalWard and then also accept the construction administration with Mead Hunt. It's estimated at $70,000 to do the project administration, and then move forward with the plan of how to fund the airport. Now, the terminal, again, letting John look at the options of what is the best, should we borrow from another airport, or should we use the loan mechanism once we know that Aeronautics has changed there. So this project would not start until spring, but this would get on the schedule with CalWard to be one of their first projects in the spring. We're very pleased with the work they're doing down at Ketchum Park, very easy to work with, and so they have a little bit of a track record with us.
So I think we'll go forward in seeking a motion and support, and then we can have any additional discussion on the item. So the motion is to recommended to approve the bid from Callawald Group of Kalamazoo for $909,400 to construct the new Brooks Terminal and $70,000 for Mead Hunt Construction Administration. It's further recommended that the project to be funded by using the 4 years of available federal and state funding, a loan of up to $100,000 from the Michigan Department of Transportation, and borrow from another airport's funding allocation to be paid in 2021 from the city's federal allocation. It is also recommended that the fiscal year 2020 budget for the airport capital outlay account be increased by $20,470. Original budget is $28,500.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion or questions?
I'd like to make sure I understand completely. So we're now looking at $48,000, $49,000 out of city money currently.
Correct.
But if we don't do this, we're looking at $70,000 or $80,000 out of city money?
Yeah, I did not mention it this time. If we decide to not do the project, we owe the state back for all the design, engineering, architectural work that the state has paid. And I'm looking for my number, and I'm trying to,
It's in 150.
I thought it was in the 150.
yeah,
Is it that much?
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to see if I had in this report. I think I had in the last one. But we would owe, because the state paid for that original architectural engineering work.
So I do understand that when we started down this path several years ago, that the idea was that our allocation would cover the construction costs, and the bids came in higher than expected. But I do feel like we've painted ourselves in a corner here, and I'm still not at a complete understanding of the value that the airport brings to the community, as either economic or social or cultural or whatever.
We
So
do. We don't have a choice of whether the airport is here or not here. It can't go away.
Sure, but we have a choice of whether we're going to build $1 million terminal.
Right, but you have to look at the dollars we are going to lose. It's not going to get any cheaper to put this together at this point.
I got that. Like I said, I feel like we're pinning in a corner where it's going to cost us a lot more if we don't spend this money.
Yes, and it will.
I don't like that situation.
I know.
If I may, about a little over a year ago, before some of you were on council, we brought this to the council, and I believe it may have been October of 18. And the decision at that time was we were either going to be in or out. That was the time that the council had the opportunity to back out, and we would not have lost any monies. But once that decision was made by the council last year, we are now in, and hindsight, is what it is. But that was the time where really the council had an opportunity to not do the project and not have this expense. But once that vote was taken that night, we were in.
Right. And if memory serves, at that time, that we were still under the belief that we were going to cover this with our allocation.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Get us out of it as cheap as you can.
We're trying.
Any further comments or questions? All right, so we have a motion and support, and then we'll move forward with a roll call vote, please.
Member Traver?
Yes.
Member Underhill?
Yes.
Member Wolfersberger?
Yes.
Mayor Karen?
Yes.
Member Gates?
Yes.
Member Metzger?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. That moves us to item 12B on the agenda, major material purchase for the Pearl Street substation. Ed, if you would like to come up and present this for us, please.
Mr. Mayor and council members, we have before you tonight the project that we're talking about is an increased capacity project at the city's electric facility off Industrial Drive, basically across Denico. And it feeds about close to 90% of the city's load. And with all the new load that's coming in the industrial park, that station is going to be significantly overloaded in a short period of time. So we're trying to meet our commitments to the new facilities that are going down there. And back in, I think it was on March 4th of 2019, the council approved expediting this increased capacity project at Pearl Street substation to be able to serve it's a kind of a stopgap process to serve the immediate load that's going to be coming on the system within the next year. And subsequent to that, the council approved on July 15th of 2019, $818,000. This is the major purchase for this is not this, but it's just the history for the transformer that's going to. We're adding another transformer down there is what the increased capacity is. But in order to do that, we have to construct that new transformer. We have to put relay protection on it. You have to build all the structural steel for it, acquire all the structural steel for it, and that's what this recommendation is for us to. Is to get the bids or to get the relays and relay panels for system protection for that transformer and for the distribution lines that go out from there.